in our previous lecture, this is where we actually stopped, where I stopped. So I now gave you guys an assignment that you should go and design this. And then after that, you also design these the down one too. That is for the filter. And I'm sure most of you have already did. So now we are going to continue from this aspect. Are you getting it? So now if you remember, I told you guys that what we are doing using table is not professional, and I only want you guys to see the powerful feature of table and how we can actually use table, and for you to understand those table are table TD, you can increase the length and height of table TD. Okay, now I'm going to introduce you guys to something that we can actually use to create this section here. We are going to leave, I will leave these ones I've already created with table, then I'll continue from this other side. So now I want to create this, but let me just explain this. Then remember, I'm already having my internal CSS open here, so I won't be using the inline aspect again. So there is something that we actually refer to as div in CSS, div. The main function of this div is for us to create containers carry our document, just like the way we are using table to structure our document. Using table, the table here is actually serving as container because it's carrying all this, and we are able to change the background color, to set the width. That is the same function div actually perform. Are you getting it now? So if I want to create, let me just create a random div. Let me just create a random div, then to illustrate before we go into the practical. So I want to have something like a div with a class of container. Then inside the div, I want to have a h1 with a text of welcome to my site. Then I want to have another one again called a span. It's just like a container too. And then inside the span, I want to generate a random text using my lorem. So if I hit enter, you see that using my emmet, I was able to generate this as fast as possible. So don't worry, I'm still going to walk you guys through everything before the end of our programming class. So if I go back to my, as you can see, I'm having a random text here. Welcome to my site. Then my lorem, the random text that I actually generated. Okay, now what I want to show you guys, I just want to show you the power of div. Are you getting it? So now, you know my class is dot container. I can just come up here. I've showed you guys this. So I'll just say dot, sorry, I'll have my dot container, then I open my bracket and open my curly bracket and hit enter. I can give you the background color. From here, I can set the background color to, like, let's say blue. If I go back now and I refresh, for you to actually know that the div here is a container. If I refresh now, you see it's carrying my background color just like our table is. Are you getting it? If I want to give it a border, I can just come here, give it a border of about, let's say, 5px. Then if I want to give it another property again, like border radius of about 5px. So when I go back now and I refresh, you're going to see changes. You can see the border radius here has actually changed. Are you getting it now? It's not like this one that is sharp, but I've given it a radius, and I also increased the border to 5. Are you getting it? So we are still going to go deep into this. So what I simply want to show you guys is the power of div, how div can actually works, and it's that div we are going to use to create these ones here. That same div we are going to use to create this one. Okay, let's start. So using my emmet, let me just take this one out. I'm going to take this out, or let me just take out the property value. But here I'm going to take everything out. I'm going to take everything out. So now Like here, I'm having h1. Then immediately after the h1, we have a random text. Then after that, we have h2 and another text again. So first of all, come to this side. Then I'll copy the heading. I'll come back here, open my div. Then my class is going to be container. Then inside the container, the essence of this right angle bracket is that you are telling the VS Code that you want to have the next HTML element coming inside in between the open and close tag of div. Are you getting it? Like if I use so I'll open my div. Then the class should be dot container. Then in between my div elements, I want to have a h1 whose text will be the text um, that I actually copied. So after that, I want to have maybe another span, another span. Inside the span, I want to have this text. Or let me just generate a random text like lorem, and then after that I'll just delete the text. And okay, now so if I go back to my browser and I refresh, I should see something like this. You see something like this. But me, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this text. I'll copy the text, take it here, and then from here to here, where I'm having my random text, I'll just paste it. So if I wanted to use the emmet to create everything down to the last one, I can, but I don't want you guys to be confused. That's why I break it down. So if I come here and I refresh, you see that I'm having my text. Then now let's see. Okay, now let's set up our, what's it called? The border, the padding, sorry, the padding. And remember, we are having a margin here. There is this little space from this side down to this side. Are you getting it? From here down to this other side, there is space. Are you getting it? So now, if you observe, there is space between. So now, if you observe, there is space from here down to this other side. And you remember I told you guys the difference between the margin and padding. So what we are going to use here is just our margin. So now we already have our div as container, and we already declared this somewhere here. So I'll just come here, margin top. Let our margin top be, let's say, 10px. So I'll just go back, refresh, and maybe the 10px is very small. Let's take it to 20. Let's take it to 20px. Why is it not increasing? You see, margin top container. I hope my spelling is correct. Div class container, the div container margin top. Okay, maybe let me increase it to like 600 so that I'll know where the issue is coming from. Okay, is working. So I'll just be the one to increase it. Let me take it to 50 then. 50. I think 50 is much. Let me take it to, let's say 40. 40 should be okay. I think 40 is okay. Then now the padding left, I think what we use in our table is padding left 200px. So I'll just come here, my padding left 200px. So I'll come here, refresh it. As you can see, we are having it on the same line as the other one. And then the other one, our padding right is 400px. So let our padding right be 400px. 400px. So as you can see, we are getting closer. Then now, so that is it. Okay, now let's, from here you see there is a paragraph after the application. We have paragraph, then immediately after the others we also have another paragraph. So I'll just come here, you can, after this application I'm having a paragraph which is P. You can just use my emmet by typing P and hit enter, but it will create an open and close P. Then I also come here, my P, hit enter, and I can just take this one out. So I'll go back and refresh. So we are having the same thing. Then, but if you observe this, the size is actually bigger than this one, and even the color is somehow dim. So what I'll do, I'll using my CSS, I'll come here, I'll come here, I'll come here. Since I've already declared a span, I'm having a span here because I'm having a span here. So maybe in our next class we are going to look at span. Span is actually a container on its own, just like the div. But in our next class we are going to look at the difference between the span and the div. Since I'm already having span here, I can just come here, or let me give it a class. Let me give it a class of info. I give it a class of info. Then I'll just come here, dot info, open my bracket. Then let's say font size. You already know this font size. Let me give it 8px. 8px. Then I'll go back and refresh. That's very small, very tiny. Then let me increase it to like 16px. Now refresh, or let me change it to 36px. That is way too much. 26 should be okay. No, it's still too much. Let me set it to 20. Okay, I think 20 is a bit better. But it seems this our 400px padding is too big. Our padding, let me just change it to 200. Okay, we are having we've aligned it to the same length as the other one. Okay, now the next thing we are going to look at is, if you observe, the color is a bit, it's not like the way ours is. So let's see how we can, using CSS, let's see how we can change the color of our text. So I'll just come here. I already told you it's just color. You should just type your color, and let's use this one and see. Refresh. As you can see, it's a bit dim. Are you getting it? It's a bit dim as this one is, unlike what we are having earlier. Okay, now, so the next thing we are going to do is um let's see how we can actually make use of font weight to bold. You know, earlier on we used HTML. For example, if you want to bold this U here, where is the U? This U here, what you do is just open your bold and you close it where you want the bold to end, where you actually want the bold to end. If I come here and I refresh, so you can see my bold has taken effect. But now let's take, for example, you want to bold a particular text. You want to bold a text, or okay, let us, what I'll do, let us create this one, then we'll now use the bold to illustrate. So what I'll do now, I'll come here immediately after this. My div is in the same div. I can come here, open another paragraph with a text of, I think, community, sorry, community, then I hit enter. So I'll come here, refresh. So now my community is there. Then now I'll come here, give my paragraph an ID, sorry, an ID of, let's say, head. I already told you how you can reference an ID. An ID, if it is container, if you make use of dot. Then if it is an ID, you make use of hash head. That's the name of my paragraph ID. Open your curly bracket. Then if you want to make it bold, you know, here the community is not bold. I want to make it bold using my CSS. The simple syntax, the simple property is font weight. Use it here, font weight. You can just make use of the text, font weight bold, and when you come here and refresh, you see the text bold. Or you can simply make use of your numeric figure, and it starts from the numeric figure for bold actually starts from I think 100 down to 900. Getting it? And 400 is the default. For, are you getting it? The 400 is the default for normal bold. 200 for H1 bold, because if you observe, H1 is always bolder. Are you getting it? Compared to when you use your normal bold. For example, now if I put 400 and I come here, I refresh, you see the way it is. Then if I change it to like 700 and I come here and I refresh, see, it has become more bolder. So if I now decide to like set it to 900, it will become more bolder. Are you getting it? So that is how you can actually use your CSS to increase. There are several other, okay, so that is how you can actually use your CSS to control the boldness and intensity of your of your text. So now let's continue. So the next one we are having is the text down here. So that is very simple. So what we simply do is we just come here. I think we can even make use of paragraph. We can just make use of P. So since we already have a span here, that the class is already set to info, and we already designed the property and the property value. So since it's the same feature they have, we can just create our span dot what is it called, dot class dot info. Then after that, our text will just come in here, move our cursor to the edge and hit enter. What was it? Okay, it's carrying a text that is not recognized. Okay, just do it like this. Okay, now it has come up. So we have our span info, our text in there. Then let me just break it down to, sorry, let me break it down to the next line. So if I go back now and I now refresh, you see that it will be carrying the same feature as what we are having here. Are you getting it now? So that is it about um, font and about bolding, uh, about font weight. Sorry, that is it about font weight.